Hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for another session of Black Women in HR's One-to-One. My name is Adesia Okoje. I'm the founder and CEO of Black Women in HR called BWHR. And today I have the amazing Simone. She is joining us today. She's going to be telling us all about her mentorship program, her journey into HR, and all the wonderful things she's doing for HR professionals and being a coach. But before I ask Simone to introduce herself, let me just read a little bit bio about Simone. Simone, she's a professional mentor who transforms everyday managers into exceptional, strong leaders through mentoring. She does this by providing them with the leadership skills that would improve workplace culture, engagement, profits, and productivity. Simone believes in order for behaviors to change, there has to be accountability, which most businesses do not have time to do so, as the focus is revenue, sales, and running the day-to-day business. What an amazing bio for you. So, but before I keep going on and talking, can you please just tell our audience who will be watching this on YouTube about yourself?
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me. So build your vision. So exactly what you said, I help transform everyday managers into exceptional, strong leaders. And I do this through three different pillars. So the first thing is I've got a management mentoring program, and that's for 16 weeks, where I work with managers on a weekly basis, and we go through all the fundamentals, things like coaching, communication, active listening, and again a mentorship program with the managers, and I move them through that journey. That's for 16 weeks. Then I have another program for solo entrepreneurs, and I work with them on a one-to-one basis, and that's for 6 months, where I help them with their mindset shift, because I'm sure you know as well, working within business can be extremely lonely. It's very difficult. It plays with your confidence as well. You know, you think that you're meant to do one thing, and then you're second guessing yourself, or you make a decision and it's the wrong decision, or you're knocking on several doors, the doors get closed. It can be a very daunting, lonely place. So I work with new entrepreneurs with that on their journey for 6 months. So that's another pillar to what I do. And then the last part is almost business consultancy, where I help small businesses who are almost like creatives, for example. They're really great at their job, they're expanding their team. However, they have no idea how to manage their team. They have no experience leading a team or managing a team. And that's where I come in and give them things like HR processes, HR policies, give them that one-to-one training, and I work with them more long term. So in terms of my styles are more of a personable experience. I like to work one-on-one with my clients rather than a massive group. I don't like to do group mentoring or group coaching, because I want to touch, feel, and really get to know them. They can get to know me, and we're almost like in a partnership with my clients, because I get the best out of them and they get the best out of me as well. So and the reason why my programs are long, one for 16 weeks, one for 6 months, and the business consultancy is almost like a year contracts that I have with those businesses, is because it takes an average of 66 days to change a habit. So what I'm trying to do is change those behaviors, change those mindsets, and I can't do that with just a quick day course. It takes time, it takes effort. I like to give my clients accountability. They will make mistakes because we're all human. They can get back up, dust their trousers off, and start again. So that's why that's what I do. So that's build your vision, really.
I'm just saying, wow. You're doing so amazingly well and build your vision. So, and I kind of like, when you use the word alone, I feel as an entrepreneur, you do feel alone. And that's why I'm always encouraging the importance of networking and connecting, because even if you're an entrepreneur and you're connecting with other entrepreneurs, you kind of like share some of your experiences, and some entrepreneurs who are ahead of your journey can share their experiences, share their challenges, and you can learn from it. So what a wonderful thing you're doing. But you spoke so much about what you actually do. Can you just tell us a little bit about who is Simone? Who are you?
Who am I? Simone.
Yes,
So I'm a wife. Well, first of all, I'm a woman of God. That's number one. Strong in my faith. I'm telling you, Build Your Vision wouldn't be without God. I'm telling you. And I'm a wife. Yeah, doing my business, plodding along. I like to go for afternoon teas and spa days. You know, the normal.
We definitely need to plan an afternoon tea, just me and you, and just sharing
100%.
ideas.
100%. I literally done one on Saturday. I take my little niece with me afternoon tea sometimes, so I took her to afternoon tea over the weekend. But yeah, that's just a bit about me.
Okay, so thank you so much. So afternoon tea, I'm definitely up for that. When I message you, don't tell me you're too busy. So I'm
of course.
I know you've talked a lot about, you've given us some information about Build Your Vision. But what is Build Your Vision, and what motivated you to start it?
Yeah, so I think what motivated me was when I think I was around 21 years old, and I was in retail. But before that, I studied to become a teacher, went into teaching, didn't like it, it wasn't for me, but I always had like a retail job on a Saturday that I just kept because of the discount. I love the 50% off, so I was like, I'm always going to keep that. And then I went into retail management as I think I was like a team leader. Then I moved to be a supervisor, an assistant manager, store manager. And my manager, the area manager at the time, she really took the time to motivate me. She developed me, she nurtured me, she gave me development plans. I had regular monthly one-to-ones with her. She coached me. She gave me exposure to things like disciplinaries, note taking, grievances, investigation. So I learned a lot of the fundamentals, dealing with like the law and being careful of what to say, what you can't say, sticking with policy, creating policy documents. And she really almost took me under her wing. And then I had several different roles within that company, and I was with them for 10 years. I was with the company to move. And then, cut a long story short, over the course of, I would probably say 7 years, I had different roles within retail, management roles with big global companies. And I started to see a pattern. And the pattern was I had managers, but they were not leaders. So they could manage a process, but they didn't know how to manage people. They didn't know how to have the correct coaching conversations. They didn't know how to give correct feedback. And with the certain managers I had above me, they were almost damaging me because of their lack of self-esteem, their lack of confidence in their role. They wasn't confident in their role. And that had a rippling effect on the team that they managed, how they managed, the really reactive approach to things, snappy, not listening, egos got in the way as well. And that's not how you should lead a team. And that's the reason why I started Build Your Vision, because I thought my experience being a worker, working for these managers, it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible, where you're not getting developed, you're not getting pushed, you're not getting the nurture that you require, and that you wanting that promotion, and your manager's not giving you that support. And I thought to myself, I've gone through hell in my workplaces. I don't want anyone going through what I've gone through. So that's why I put on the mentoring managers program. That's why I mentor and do business consultancy for small businesses, because as a leader, if you don't have that the foundations and the fundamental skills, you will damage your staff 100%. It's damaging. So that's the reason why I birthed Build Your Vision, because of my experience as a worker.
Everything you said, I totally 110% agree, because managing people is managing people is different, because as a line manager, you have to have soft skills and technical skills. So if you apply line management with just your technical skills, you wouldn't have a productive team. Well, my next question is, we're going to talk about diversifying and what companies are doing. So do you think companies are doing enough at the moment in diversifying their leaders?
In a nutshell, no, absolutely not. I don't think so. I think putting a statement on LinkedIn. So what I'm seeing at the moment on LinkedIn is a lot of people putting in their short bio about, inclusion and diversity leader, inclusion and diversity. But that doesn't mean anything. And even hiring more Black people or people from the LGBT community, again, that still doesn't mean anything. I think, or even creating a diversity and inclusion department, again, that doesn't mean anything. I think what needs to happen is we're dealing with unconscious bias, and we're dealing with an unconscious bias mindset for decades. So, and if you think about it, diversity and the topic of diverse and inclusion came about last year with the whole Black Lives Matter movement. That was only a year ago. It's going to take a long time to change those behaviors. And what I am seeing is a lot of businesses put on classes, put on programs, getting their workers to attend workshops and different TED Talks and different bits. And I was actually privy to something myself. So was part of an organization where the whole Black Lives Matter came about. Then they focused heavily on diversity and inclusion. And they made us do a course from January, and I think it finished in March. So it was like a 9-week course, and every week we would meet up. There was a different topic every week, and we'd have an open discussion. And it was quite healthy because we had, the CEO there, the board of directors, we had trustees, head of departments, senior managers, different type of managers within the whole. It was like a global discussion, and it was really insightful. However, the course finished in March. We signed to say that we received training on D&I, received a certificate, and we haven't spoken about it since. So just because we've done a course doesn't mean that things are going to change, because it's a topic that we have to talk about every single day. It's a continuous journey. There's not a one-size-fits-all, because it depends on the location of the company. It even depends on the country itself, what country the company's in, the size of the organization, and if you go into the corporate world, or even certain industries at the moment, like banking, tech, fintech, some finance companies, it's still heavily, predominantly white male sitting on those boards. So there's a long way to go. We're definitely not there yet. And I think it's a topic of conversation where we have to talk about it day in and day out in order for there to be change. But even with that change, those people who are sitting at the top, they're coming from a different era to us, for example. So they've probably grown up with their parents being racist, for example. So you're dealing with stuff within their home, their households, because we don't know what happens in their doors. So it's a bigger piece that needs to be done. It's not a case of sending your colleagues or your workers on a course, ticking the box to say that you've done it. It's more than that. We're trying to change mindsets. We're trying to adopt a different culture, and we're trying to get rid of that unconscious bias and making us more aware of our thought process. But even within the Black community as well, there's colorism within the Black community. That still happens today. So there's a lot that needs to be done. So I think that, in a nutshell, they're not work companies are not diversifying. Diversifying. Sorry, their leaders. There's a lot that needs to be done. In a nutshell.
No, we raised so many points. I just want to remember one of the points you said earlier on. You said it takes 66 days to change a mindset, and that's just a mindset. How about changing a behavior or bias? It's not. I feel, from my experience, just a bias, because you attend a training, you attend a workshop, you hear everything. It goes here and it comes out here. Then, but it's about the change, the cultural change. And also, one important thing is the individual themselves need to be open to change. And diversity, inclusion, equity is all about having those challenging conversations, and it's ongoing. Exactly what you say, is an ongoing.
It's an ongoing thing, and it's all about understanding someone else's journey as well, and empathizing and having that empathy for someone else's journey. Because, and all, you know, even when we talk about things like privilege, and you know, it's a massive topic, but I think it's something that has to be drummed in, day out, and worked on, because we're trying. It's a mindset and a behavior shift. So we're dealing with two things at once. Plus, we're dealing with history.
And I always say it's not only about the workplace. It's in the supermarkets, it's in the theater, it's in the shops, it's on the road, it's in your bar, it's in the post, it's on the football field, it's online on your computer, it's on social media, it's on LinkedIn. Yeah. Because if we use the example of the football, and the Black players had it wrong, and so many racial attacks came out of that. So I know the same people who are doing all these things, they're not just employees, they're fathers, they're mothers, they're uncles, they shop in a they eat in a restaurant. So it's if we start, I don't think we'll ever finish.
And you know what, just to touch upon that football thing, the horrible thing about that was when I think it was the 3 black boys, when the 3 black boys missed the goal, automatically I thought, oh, imagine what the papers are going to say tomorrow.
I said that
was my first reaction, and that's bad. It shouldn't be like that. But because we've brought up in a society that we just know what it is, that's a problem. So it probably won't change this decade. It will probably change, hopefully, in the next 2 decades, maybe. But there's a lot that needs to be done. And the more conversations like this that bring it up to the surface, the more exposure this topic gets. That's what we need to start talking about it more, and giving it their exposure, and talking about our experiences. Exactly what you said.
Okay, thank you. Just diving in deeper into diversity, equity, and inclusion. So, what are the 3 things people need to adopt in order to challenge their underlying beliefs and assumptions?
This is a very interesting question, and I'm going to give you 2 perspectives into this. I'm going to give you just a normal cliche perspective, but then my other perspective on it is more from a godly standpoint. All right, so I'll start off with the first one. So number 1, I feel that you need to just identify your feelings and just be honest with it and address it. Address those thoughts. Number 2, learn new behaviors. Things like journaling, asking yourself why, just things like that, just learning new behaviors. And the 3rd thing, which is really, really simple, just be consistent with your new mindset. So whenever you start speaking negatively or whatever it is, having those negative thoughts, you're going to channel that with your new learned behavior. So that's my cliche answer for you. But in terms of from a faith perspective on it, number 1, you have to pray. You have to ask God to really clearly identify the areas that you need to change, and with the areas that you need to work on. And then the second thing I would say is you need to be able to open up your heart and mind, because so many times people pray and they're praying about something, but then if your heart and your mind is not open, God cannot work in you and God cannot work through you. So it's important that you go to him with an open mind and an open heart, and not have any sort of pre-assumptions of what could happen. You just have to be open and let go and be free and just let God work in you. And then the last thing that I would say is, well, second to that actually, is be open to that mindset shift. And then the third thing, exactly like my other answer that I gave to you, is being consistent, because you could start asking God to reveal certain things to you, and more things are God is revealing more things about you that you need to work on. So in a nutshell, you just have to trust the process for that one.
I know because I'm like you, I try not to impose my beliefs, because I'm a Christian like you. I try not to impose it, especially when it has to do with work-related issues or work-related, I won't say employment-related conversations or professional qualification, but I am who I am, and I put God first in everything I do. So I definitely in line with your with what you've just said. So thank you so much for that. So my next question is going to talk about, what would you say to someone? So looking at your mentorship, you have two types of mentorship program. You mentor one-to-one with entrepreneurs like myself, or new entrepreneurs, and you also have the 16 weeks group mentorship program that you have on a rolling process. Black Women in HR, we also have our mentorship scheme, and I can proud to say we always achieve at least 90% success rates for our mentees. I'm also in a process of matching cohort 3, which should launch on the 27th of September. So, but what would you say to someone that is thinking of becoming a mentee, and what would you say to someone that you think is still considering in giving their time to become a mentor? So someone that wants to be a mentee, obviously they need that support and for a mentor.
Yeah, so I'm going to answer this question. I'm going to make this really personable to myself. So number one, I think it's very beneficial, and I think it's very needed. And personally, I have 2 mentors for myself. And I'm going to give you a bit of insight into me now. I'm going to go a bit deep. So in my family, in my lineage, there's no one married in my family. So I'm literally the first female in my family to be married. So I've never seen what it is to be a wife. I've never had someone to look up to mirror, or to ask questions, or to get advice from. So I have myself and my husband, we have married mentors who mentor us. They've been our mentors for a couple of years now, and we just go to them for advice. We go to them for, when things are going good, we go to them, just have a little check-in. We go to them when things are bad, because no marriage is perfect. So we do go to them when we have our little tips. And it's good for me to understand, especially from the male perspective, of how to, I'm not a man, so I don't understand the man, and so on and so forth. So it's good for me to get that insight. But then also for myself being a wife, it's also good for me to understand my role, because I'm still learning, and we're all on this journey, especially when you are married, because as human beings, we change all the time. So when you're in a marriage, you're learning yourself, because you're evolving, you're changing, but then you're also learning your spouse at the same time. So it's a process. So I have a mentor for that. I also have another mentor for business as well. I've never run a business before. This is all new to me. Yes, I've been a manager, and I've ran a department within a big organization. Yes, I've done that, and I know what it takes, but I haven't run my own limited company when it comes to things like, your accounts and all the other admin bits in between. So it's important that I learn from someone else that has the knowledge. So I think personally for me, a mentor has helped me. It, you know, I've grown, I've developed. The mistakes that they've made, I fast track that because I'm not making those mistakes, because I'm learning from their mistakes. So I definitely think it's very, very beneficial to anyone that's thinking about getting a mentor, whether, you know, you need a mentor in the workplace to help you overcome those workplace hurdles, whether you wanted a mentor in your marriage because you're new to marriage, or, you know, so on and so forth, and you want that guidance there. Within business, you know, then you can get a mentor for fitness, you can get a mentor for dietary purposes as well. But I do think a mentor is very beneficial for you, and I think it shows a positive standpoint again about who you are, because it shows that you're serious about your personal development, and you're serious about your progression and just wanting to be a better person. But what I would say in terms of being a mentee is you have to put in the work. You can't expect the mentor to do all the work for you. You have to go away, you have to put in the time, put in the work, and move forward. But if you're not willing and you're not open, I mentioned it before about having that open mind and having that open heart. If you're not willing to be open and you're not willing to change, or you're stuck in a rut, then mentoring will not work for you. You have to be open and you have to be willing to make those changes. So I definitely think it's a fantastic investment.
Thank you so much. I always say that we indirectly mentor every day. You mentor your friends, you mentor in your church.
So true.
Yeah, and there's a reverse mentoring as well. Because sometimes you have friends that call you then for advice, they call you for a chat, you're just talking to them. And I also say sometimes you can have formal mentors, because I have you have business mentors as well, and don't have a marriage mentor yet because I'm not married.
Oh, I can't hear you. Oh, you cut out for a bit. Can you hear me? Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah.
I said, like you, I have a business mentor. I think that's really critical. And I think mentorship is really important because it's paying forward, and there's a big difference between having a mentor and having a coach. A coach is different. A coach is coaching you based on their experience and making sure, so that a coach is that person that removes you from spending so much time rather than achieving a goal in 10 minutes, a coach will allow you to achieve that similar goal in a minute. So that's why you have a coach. A mentor helps with your confidence. Like you said, you can have a dietary mindset, you can have physically, you can have employment. A mentor can help you secure employment, also coach you in different things. So I definitely agree with you. It's really important to seek a mentor if you are a mentee. And a lot of people, some people are still a little bit hesitant and not sure if it's the right thing for them, or we were not. I wouldn't say, I'll use myself as an example, as someone from Nigerian heritage. I didn't grow up being told that, seeing that it's good to have a mentor, but right now is the mentorship program is being promoted so much in our community that I'm really excited. Even employers are introducing the mentorship program. A lot of employers are doing that. Even churches, even in religious gathering communities, even your friends. So it's one thing that's become really, really popular in the last 12 months, and I'm happy about that.
Yeah, and I think it's about finding the right mentor as well for you.
Yes.
Because you need to be comfortable with the person you're talking to. You need to be able to just be real. Like no barriers, there's no gray area. It is real, it is raw, because you can get the best out of the person. So it has to be authentic. It has to be like really raw and enriching. Otherwise it won't work. It just won't work.
Yes, and I always say, if you don't get it right with one mentor, it shouldn't discourage you from trying somebody else, because in as much as mentorship is about learning and giving back, It's also about personality. If your personality clash and you don't click, it wouldn't work. Because if you want things done this way and your mentor wants things done a different way, it's okay to disagree, and it's okay to say you're not the right mentor for me, and part in an amicable way and find somebody else. But it
100%.
and if anyone out there is listening to this for the first time and your first mentorship did not work, try again. Try again. Approach somebody neutral, and it doesn't always have to be the same race or the same gender. You can try a different gender, you can try a different race, as long as they're willing to pay forward, as long as the person is willing to support you. So definitely encourage. It doesn't always have to be woman to woman, gender to gender, or race to race.
Yeah, I agree.
My final question today.
Yeah.
And it's been such an interesting conversation with you. Thank you so much for all the gems you have been given so far. So how can senior leaders inspire and help their employees of disadvantaged background become leaders and unlock their potential?
Yeah, again, this is another interesting question. And my opinion on this is, number one, the senior leaders, they need to know who they are. They need to have self-awareness, they need to be confident, they need to be inspiring, they need to be motivational, they need to have a genuine care for their workers. That's the foundation, number one. They need to have the ability to lead by example. They need to be able to get their hands dirty. They need to create a culture where they are not micromanaging their team. They're leaving their team to get on with their own autonomy. And I think with these skills, the workers then will gain respect for their senior leaders, and then that's where the trust is built up. And then what starts to happen once there's trust and there's respect, that barrier and that wall begins to break down. All right. And then the flip side to that is their environment and the culture. So we need to create a culture where workers are able to come into work and be their true, authentic self. And I'm sure you've had this experience as well, where you've gone into work and then you're putting on the mask and you're not yourself. You're talking different, you're acting different, you're wearing your hair different. You can't be yourself. And if you think about it, we're at work 9 hours a day, 40 hours a week. And 40 hours out of your week, you're being putting on a mask. That's draining. That's horrible. It's not nice. So senior managers, senior leaders need to create that environment where people can be their true, authentic self at work. That's so important. Once those things are in place, then you can tap into the worker. Then you can start working on them. You can start understanding them, you can start guiding them, you can start nurturing them, because that trust is there, that respect's there, so they can open up to you about their disadvantaged background. They can start letting you into their world. But a worker would never let a senior manager into their world if they don't trust them, if they don't respect them, if the leader has no care for them. Why would they open up to a senior manager? So it's so important for the senior managers to have empathy, to respect their workers in order for that change to happen. But then also it's creating a non-judgmental environment. And with all those things that I've just spoken about, that's when change takes place. But without any of that, you cannot unlock their potential, because it's a trust thing, and it's an understanding, and it's an empathy thing. And without those pillars, I call them pillars, without those pillars in place, that wall will be up, and then there will be no change. But once those pillars are in place, that wall begins to break down. That's when change will happen with workers. So yeah, that's my answer to that one.
No, it's a good answer. It's a good response. And I just think, what more can I say to everything you've said? But it's fantastic. It's been such amazing to have you today, Simone. I've learned so much.
Thank
And I hope
you.
everyone watching this podcast will learn so much from it. But as just a summary on your mentorship journey, on diversifying leaders, on how employers can can support their staff, and on anyone in HR looking to partner with you for your one-to-one or join your group training. If I'm watching this, three key things do you want me to take away from our conversation? Three key things.
I think one, passionate. I'm very passionate about what I do. I'm passionate about people, and I'm passionate about seeing people grow and develop. Number two, I like to create an environment where people are able to be themselves. I think that's so important because I know how damaging it can be when people are not themselves. And number three is I don't like quick fixes. Quick fixes don't make change. We need a long-term plan and long-term growth in order for you to get the results. Rome wasn't built in a day. There's a process. So those are the three things that I hope people are able to take away today.
I definitely agree for you. A long-term solution. It's especially because I did say to someone recently, that this is a good time to be a Black person. And I watched like a short video by Barack Obama recently that said, Black people before us that have been in 18th century, that have been enslaved, they fought the champion, they got over all the obstacles and challenges before them. So now that we're actually talking about diversity, we're talking about inclusion, we're talking about equity. Because before, as a Black person, if someone says something that is wrong, if you experience microaggression at work, you either smile away from it or not say anything, or not necessarily, you would just accept it and walk away. If I meet someone and they don't pronounce my name properly, I just say it's okay. But now I can actually, if someone is rude to me or make me feel uncomfortable about the way I look or the way I speak, I can correct them without fear of reprisal from my employer, if I'm at work. If someone now, a lot of my colleagues would ask me, how do I really pronounce my name? And it makes me happy that they actually want to learn. But before, prior to that, people would say, oh, your name is hard. Can I just call you Ade? And I'm like, no.
Yeah, they're shortening it. Yeah.
And I'm not even going to shorten it for you, because it's very short as it is. My name is much more longer than that. So it's a great time to be alive. And thank you so much for giving me your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. And you're doing some amazing things. So keep up the hard work and just keep pressing on. I know it's difficult, but keep going because everyone's watching. We're all rooting for you. So thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. So how can our members reach you on social media? Do you have a website? And what's your
yes,
your Instagram handle and your website details?
Yes, so Instagram is buildyourvision_cc. LinkedIn is, you can find me on Simone Phillips, and then also you can find the business page, which is Build Your Vision Limited. And then the website, it should be up and running next month. So if you follow me on my Instagram, I'll be putting all information about the website. So it is coming soon.
Okay. Thank you to everyone who is watching right now. Please make sure you click on one of the links and subscribe to our YouTube channel. This is a conversation with Simone Phillips. It's been really interesting. She's talked to me about mentorship. She's talked to me about diversity. She's talked to me about equity. She's talked to me about faith. But most importantly, she's shared her own personal experiences, her own personal journey, and how she supports women, Black women, and Black community. There's a lot of diversity practice from Simone. So once again, my name is Adese Okoje. I am the founder of Black Women in HR, and today I've interviewed the wonderful Simone Phillips. So thank you so much for joining me today, and thank you to everyone who has watched this episode. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.